I was thinking about the logo, the original logo that you sent.
Wait. What was the initial one?
No, remember the little like stair step thing? And then you're like, yeah, let's put that on a shirt. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we this is episode number 1. What are we calling this? The Up Level podcast?
Yeah, I guess just Up Level podcast.
Running name will be the Up Level podcast. But just to start off, guys, whoever's watching this is episode number 1. We're supposed to have 3 people on here, but we're missing one of our brothers. So big. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, I guess. How are you?
I'm good. You're very good at this. This is
it's like I do this for a living.
This is a foreign concept to me. I don't know how I feel about this.
So that's your camera. So that's what's always looking at you. It's just on you.
Okay.
And then this one's just on me. Well, in the future we'll get like a wide shot, so it's like both of us. But like we'll basically just talk together. So yeah, for those of you that are on here, my name is Aaron of the 3 brothers, and then we have
my name is Jaren,
and then the third one that's supposed to be right here is Darren. We always make this joke about Aaron, Darren. Our parents are insane and don't know why they named us that, but it's a good marketing strategy.
At work, I tell it pretty much daily because whenever I tell someone my name, and I'm a nurse, so whenever I introduce myself to someone, they're like, Jerry, Aaron, Jared, so I basically tell a story like 4 times a day when I first meet someone, because I'm like, yeah, my brother's name rhyme, and they're like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's a good starting story. I feel like, yeah, anytime we're in person, it's like my go-to like icebreaker. It's like, yeah, Aaron, Jaren, Darren, and then they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then they look at us weird. So, cool. So really, the point of this podcast, at least, we'll talk about our goals and stuff, here throughout. But I think just the biggest thing for us is just documenting kind of the journey behind Up Level and the brand as we're building it and stuff like that. And we'll kind of get into the, what we want to do with the brand and the goals with it and all that kind of stuff. But I guess just to start off, I think a really good way for people that come back to like episode 1 and like they're watching this, it's like maybe just hearing a little bit like our backstory, or like, I guess what you're doing right now, not necessarily backstory, but
yeah.
So I guess for you, who are you? What do you do on the day to day?
So, like I said, I'm a nurse. So, 3 days, well, I pick some overtime here and there. So 3 to 4 days a week, I'm in the hospital. And when I am in the hospital, I don't really have time for anything else. So that kind of consumes my whole day there. I guess, how far do you want to go into? Like,
yeah, I mean, just like what, because you just recently got married.
Okay, yeah.
So it just like, did you do that? Yeah, I did do that. Lily, if you're watching, I had to throw that in there for you.
Sorry, babe.
But yeah, just other than that, like, fitness, like maybe some goals of that, just like on a day to day.
Okay.
We'll say like before, like we kind of started all this stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I've always been into working out, but I've gone through phases. Like when me and
everyone does. Yeah.
Like in high school and stuff. Like I had a phase where like I was like really on my grind, and then fell off a little bit,
and then life.
Yeah. I went to college, got a little chub, stopped working out, and then now since graduated, been working as a nurse for 2 years, and fitness has become more like I'd say like a decompressor for me. Like just. That's what I like to do on my days off. Like I like to, recently anyways, like I'm training for a marathon. So, I do 2 workouts a day pretty much when I'm not in the hospital. So my day-to-day routine probably looks like wake up relatively early. I try to get up like 7-ish, at least even on my days off, just to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
I kind of been switching back and forth lately. I've been lifting. I'll lift, it's like just a regular, like, push pull leg split. And then I'll like hit the sauna and stuff. I go to One Life, so they have a sauna there. Mm-hmm. So I hit the sauna, and then I'll go home. It kind of varies. Like I feel like I pick up little things here and there. Like, I want to work out like fasted, or and I try things out like that. But lately I've been eating breakfast before I lift, and then I'll come back and then go on a run depending on the day. I mean, I'm following a specific plan right now, so it's like varies from like 3 miles or like 12 miles. So it's like kind of,
just 3 or 12.
So it's like, it also like, it depends on what my schedule looks like that day, because like if I'm busy, I'm not going to pick like you're supposed to follow it to a T, like every day you're supposed to be hitting this specific, but
yeah,
I can pretty much at this point just like bust out 15 miles. And
yeah. What made you want to like start doing like marathon running and prep?
Oh, actually, a YouTuber. He's pretty popular. Nick Bear is kind of like the main. He has a brand too. It's like B&P supplements and like clothes and stuff. But that was, I don't even know how I started watching him, honestly. Like
YouTube suggested it, or maybe saw it on
pretty
TikTok or
much, yeah. I
something,
think, and then from there, I just like. I'm gonna run now, and then I was like, and then I was like, well, what am I even running for? Like,
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I guess I could run a marathon, and then I was like, all right, I still need to stop. I need to buy my ticket. By the way, the prices just keep going up.
I think you should, you should buy the ticket.
I'm set on doing it, but I need to actually.
I think that'll also solidify, like, because now it's just like, yeah, like I'm gonna run a marathon, but once you buy it, it's like, well, how much is it?
It's like 150.
Okay, I mean, I think it's enough like financial commitment to be like, okay, like I need to
yeah, and
this.
I feel like I've told a good amount of people at this point, so I can't like.
Yeah, you can't.
So, like, everyone like at work will ask like, oh yeah, that's like because there's a lot of like girls I work with also run, so they're like, oh, how's marathon prep going? I'm like, oh, good, good. But if I was to not do it at this point, it would be kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the one of the things that we with our Instagram and TikTok and stuff. By the way, drop us a follow, Up Level Athletics on TikTok and
Sure too.
Here we go on TikTok and Instagram at this point. But I think we're all kind of playing, like Darren, and myself, all playing into like a different like goal, I guess. So my goal is to eat Chipotle for 90 days, which, by the way, I've been doing. I have to order a new set of catering here in a couple days. But I started at like 205, I think, last week, and this morning I weighed at like 201. So I think a lot of that is just like water weight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like actual like weight loss like per se, but it's still cool to see the scale like move, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So really the next thing that I'll kind of cover really quickly about me. Cause
I kind of jumped around there. I went back and forth between like 14 different things.
I think it's good. I mean, we building, knowing why we're like doing this and kind of the goals around it. But me really quickly, my name is Aaron. I do kind of a lot of things, mostly social media and YouTube and stuff like that. It's something I've been doing since I was like 13 or 14. So 10, 13 years, I guess.
I'm not even actually sure what he does. He kind of like switch up, but whatever he does, he's always successful at it. So
I don't, it's just hard to explain. Like I run like social media accounts and make videos and stuff. And then they like come into my office and they're like, what the heck is all this stuff all over the place? Like, why do you even
you already have a background of like this kind of stuff. Whereas me, like, I think last week is the first time I ever made a reel. So
so you're learning. So which is all good. But yeah, I basically just do social media stuff and whatnot, and kind of jump into, again, I can't even explain on this podcast like exactly what I do, but I think that's a good transition into like why we started this. So let's talk about, because I remember this was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, or probably maybe closer to a month ago, when you and Darren texted me and was like, hey, what are your thoughts on like starting a brand? And at the time, like for me, like I think over the last, since maybe like 4 or 5 years, I've always kind of like, even back when I was still working with Chantel, there was a point where I was like kind of needing help with like the social media, like outreach stuff. And then like I reached out to you guys and was like, hey, like I might need some help with this stuff. Like, and Darren's always kind of been like in and out of like helping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I got really excited because I was like, oh, like they want to like start something. So what, I guess for you, we'll have to get Darren's take next time. But like what made you kind of interested in like starting like a clothing brand or a brand?
Dude, it was the weirdest thing because I was at work and I was talking to this one girl. I think I was like, it was a slower day, so I was like scrolling on Instagram, which is very unusual for me, by the way, because most of the time I'm on a unit that's like extremely busy. The acuity, people are very sick on that unit, so it's always super busy. But I was just like scrolling. I had a little downtime, and I was like, I looked over and I was like, I want to start a company. I was like, I'm gonna make my own gym clothes. And I honestly, I don't even know why I had the idea. I was like, I want to start it. And then she's like, you should. And I was like, yeah, maybe I will. So I literally texted Darren. I was like, let's start a company. We make gym clothes. And he was like, okay, deal. And I was like, wait, we should probably text Aaron because I don't know anything about starting a business.
So there wasn't really any like actual like underlying like goals or anything like that. It was kind of just like, I want to start this.
Yeah. And I just wanted like gym clothes to work out, and I was like, I want an unlimited supply of gym clothes.
I just want them to spawn, and we could just use them as much. as
with as much as like I run and work out and stuff. So I was like, yep, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. So we they texted me that, and we're kind of going back and forth, and kind of the same thing that I'm doing now is just asking like, why do you want to start it? Like, why is that important? Because my like personality, because I've been doing this stuff for a long time, and my personality a lot of times is like I'm really good at starting things. I'll say now I'm good at starting things and kind of going through with them a lot. Like for the last like 10 years, when I first started, I was really good at starting things, but I never would like really go through with them. So that's why I was asking you guys those questions of like, what is the ultimate goal? What are you guys trying to do? Cause I've seen a lot of times like, other people that I mentor too, it's like they get really excited for something, and then that excitement wears off when they're like, oh, we actually have to like do work, and like it's not just something that's gonna happen overnight. So how did we come up with the name?
You did. We were going back and forth. The process of it was interesting because we were just kind of throwing out names, and we were like, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that one. Well, I don't know how. Yeah, you came to the conclusion of I don't know how you.
I caught up. Well, so my thing that I always do is I kind of just like take different words of like, just like motivation or whatever. I knew this was like a gym idea. So I do this for pretty much any like brand that I've ever started, is I will always go like figure out what the name is going to be. So like I was thinking like, level up athletics.
Yeah.
But that's already like someone already has that. So
thing.
Obviously you have to like do some research to see what's already out there.
I think they do some kind of like physical therapy thing. Cause
Yeah. But then the next thing I always do is like, I'll see, okay, is it like an overall company? And if it isn't, the next step that I do, and this is really important, is I will go and check all the socials to make sure that they're not taken, and make sure that the same one isn't taken on everything.
Yeah.
So instead of like, because there's a lot of people that will do like, they'll create their name, and then this is getting really nerdy by the way, but they'll create the name, and then they'll have like one thing on Instagram is like, for example, would be like up_level_athletics. And then on TikTok, it'll be like up_period, like whatever. So it just becomes really confusing. So, and also the domain, like so now we have uplevelathletics.com. I don't want it to be like a .net or .co or .org or whatever. So just making sure that it's kind of congruent across. Although, so that's kind of how the name, I threw out the name, and you guys were like, I think at first you were just like, I don't think you guys were like not liking it. I think it was just like, can we find something better?
Yeah, that's because like because I don't, obviously this is the first time that me and Darren are like doing this. So like when I was watching videos, I watched different YouTube videos on like how to, like what things to focus on when you start. And it was like, don't rush into your brand. I mean, the brand name or like the logo, because you're going to be stuck with that for the remainder of. So I think that's why we were kind of like going back and forth, like, well, what if there's something better? But I like the like how it's abbreviated. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much like our logo.
Yeah, that was I took inspiration from what is it? RVCA or
RVCA.
Yeah, something like that. So
RVCA company.
Yeah, so it's like, it's really like simplicity. That's another thing that I like, is just like simplicity. So like the more that we can just like keep it abbreviated, just be really, really short, that someone's like, oh, and like they look at that and they're like, okay, they know what it is, but it's also like abbreviated, so it makes it easy. That's kind of like where I took inspiration for that. And yeah, and then before like, I was going to talk about the logo. We don't really need to talk about the logo stuff. Logo stuff got made on Fiverr. No, actually, no, not the logo. What did I make on Fiverr? Because the logo was for my designer person.
That's right.
I forgot. But one thing I wanted to touch on though is like, what do you think? Like when we were talking about like kind of the idea behind Up Level and like the just why people should like our stuff, like what are your thoughts of like why people would want to buy our stuff, or like buy into the brand itself?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the fact that we're like three brothers starting something together is a cool idea. I think people get behind that. And at the very least, if they don't, we just have gym clothes. But yeah, I mean, I think that's like one of our main focuses, that we're like family. We want to start something together. And I feel like the reason that people buy it is just it's as a big of a deal. But I mean, I feel like that's the main thing is just like family. What about you? Like,
yeah, I think for me, like just I was thinking about this a couple days ago too, and you know I think that's a good like starting point of like being brothers that are like creating this, and yeah, like people can get behind that. But I think like when people think of up level, I want them to think about like how can I like up level my life in any aspect of that, right? So like it could be in the gym, it could be in finances, it could be in, you know, if someone wants to start, and that's the other thing too, like, and why I wanted to start this podcast and document everything. And cause I've kind of like worked in the shadows for for a long time, like learning a lot of different skills.
Yeah.
But I want to show people like, okay, this is us like starting out, and then kind of like the entire journey through, so that people are like, if they are in a place where like, okay, I want to start this thing, but like, I don't know if I should, or I want to start a YouTube channel, or I want to like make a clothing brand or whatever. Like I want people to know that, okay, like it's possible, you could do it. And then like using that almost like as the brand of like giving people that affirmation that they're like, okay, you can like actually do that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all in all, I think I probably texted initially like this idea like 2 weeks ago. And at this point, we are now making a podcast, and we already have the shirts. So,
yeah,
it all went pretty quickly. It seems like.
Yeah, well, I think that comes back to like my
yeah.
Thing of, like,
you were kind of just getting it done though.
Yeah, it's like I love starting stuff, and like I said, I was excited that you guys wanted to kind of get into something. So I want to. I think that's the thing that a lot of people struggle with when they first start something. Is a lot of times people will just let it stay as an idea. And they, whether it's like the resources in terms of finances or time or whatever, is they just let themselves get so deep into their head and they don't do it, right? They don't buy the samples, or they don't start a podcast, or they don't do those things. They just like keep it bottled up. Like as soon as the guy told me, I think probably after you guys told me, the next day we came up with the name. The next day we came up with the logo. Like after I had the logo, I think it was like 2 or 3 days because I was traveling. But I got it like printed on shirts, and then for Christmas I gave it to you guys for the shirt. So it was literally like maybe a 2-week process from like inception to actually having like stuff, and then starting the Instagrams.
And I think I've thought about this for like a long time. Like I even remember Darren saying something like probably like 2 years ago. He was like, I want to start my own gym clothes, and I was like. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool idea.
Yeah. I've actually had the same idea for a long time too. What was it? I had a buddy, forgot the name. It was like, I don't think it's a thing anymore. But I just remember like
it's encouraging.
Getting it. Yeah. Yeah. And they do not.
They went bankrupt and lost all their money. So.
And they no longer have a business. Maybe I should bleep that out. I don't know. the name of the because I mean he's still a buddy of mine. But yeah, I think it just obviously COVID didn't help, and a lot of stuff like that kind of attributed to that. So I feel like this is going long. Yeah, let's jump into the next that we have on here that we want to jump into is let's talk about like the journey so far in terms of like the marketing, because so to give you guys an insight of kind of our plan is we have these samples. They're just samples that we got on like custom ink. So these aren't like the actual things that we're going to be selling. These are just so that we can like start creating the social media content. And then I'm going back and forth with manufacturers right now, just getting like samples specifically for like the types of shirts that we're going to be selling. It's a very long process. If you're ever thinking about starting a brand or have started it, just know that it's a pain in the butt. You got to go back and forth with people in China if you're doing that route. If you're going for like high quality stuff, like this stuff, like is if you just want something with your logo on it, it's pretty easy. You can get it on like Custom Ink or what's the other one, like Printify or something like that. And that's kind of where we are. We're just waiting for the samples. Samples are going to come in. We're going to check the samples, make sure everything's good. And then we're going to like do like a full order. So probably buy like 500 if we can, shirts and shorts. And then we're going to launch after we have that. So it's probably going to be in like the next 20 days for like the samples. Yeah. Probably next like 2 months, honestly, is going to be like the actual launch. But I think what we're going to use the next 2 months to do is just like really build hype up around it and, post on social media and kind of just get people to know about it so that by the time we do launch, it's not something where we're just like starting from scratch. So we already have like at least a little bit of a, a little bit something under us to get started.
Yeah. It's interesting for me. I've never I've always gone to the gym, but I've never been one to make content out of it.
Yeah.
I've never, so it is kind of weird doing that. You got to kind of stop caring what people think too. Cause you're like in the gym, you're like trying to record yourself and stuff. And like, I'll prop my phone up and stuff. And, I know like in the locker room and stuff, like I'm trying to like take pictures of the shirts and stuff. People are just like looking at me like, what's this guy doing? Why is he just like staring himself?
I think like older people don't really get it. But I think a lot of times like younger people, like if I'll see some people, there was it was at Blink the other day. There was like, they had like 2 cameras on this one guy and it was just like it seemed like a full on production. But I was just like, that's cool. Like that's basically what we're going to be doing.
Everyone wants to be an influencer these days anyway. So
exactly. So you kind of, and I think it's only going to get like more. There's only going to be more people that do that once it's like, they want to create content or whatever. So for those of you that are thinking about it and you're like, I don't want to look weird. It's like, you have to get past that at a certain point. If the thing that you're trying to achieve is like, if you actually want that thing, you got to make the decisions that are going to get you to that point. So let's, so the marketing stuff so far. So let's talk about Instagram and TikTok, how it's been going.
It's, I think overall pretty good. It's interesting because like we spend a bunch of time like on a specific post and we're trying to like make it perfect and we'll post it. We spend a bunch of time on it and it gets like 3 views.
Yeah.
And then we'll post some random post took us like 2 seconds to think of. And then it's like 25K. And
well, it's more,
viral.
It's more the emotional side. It's like, cause I think our second or third post on Instagram like went like, and when we say viral, it's not like getting millions of views, but I mean, for an account that we just started that had 10 followers, there was like one that got like 20,000 views or something like that.
I think that's the most. Pretty Boy Darren seems to be doing the best.
The third, we should have waited for him to have, because he's gonna bring in all the views.
Yeah, no, right.
For the podcast.
No one's gonna watch this one. They're gonna skip it.
But yeah, so the second post went like viral, and it's funny how it all works too. It's like the whole social media like instant gratification thing of like, we'll post something and then like it's fun. We have a group chat, and anytime we just like start getting notifications that we're getting a lot of likes, we're just like, oh shit, it's popping up.
It's going to the
gaining
moon.
Momentum. And then that'll like last until it like dies out, and then we'll do like 2 or 3 other posts, and then they'll just like not get any views. They'll get like 200, 300 views, and we're just like, oh fuck, we suck.
Yeah,
it's so bad. We're dead. We're washed up.
Definitely highs and lows. And it's funny because we have only been doing, I think, when was our first Instagram and TikTok post? Like,
I think probably a week and a half, maybe.
A week ago. I can check.
I feel like the reason I feel like it's longer is because we post 3 times a day.
Yeah,
so
that's
like
true.
We have so much content.
December 23rd was our first post.
So yeah, about 10 days. So, well, I guess about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. We're recording this on the 2nd of January. It's been. It's just it's funny to see just like what, and it's so weird because like what we've figured out is like a lot of it is just luck. It's like there'll be some videos that are just like that we put, like you said, have a lot of time into it, but sometimes it might just be like the time of day or the amount of people that see it or the people it gets in front of. Like it's kind of just dependent on who sees that.
I'm starting to think the time of day doesn't even really matter that much. Like as long as you're like it, I don't think that necessarily because we posted like it varies, but we do like either like 9, 12, and like 5. Or sometimes we'll skip one of those and just do like an evening post. But it's kind of been random when it actually blows up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of like, if you ever look on YouTube and you search like how to grow on TikTok, like everyone's going to tell you something different. Or they're either going to tell you something different or they're all going to tell you the same stuff, just in a little bit of a different way. Like some people will say like the algorithm or this or that. And I think that like has some stuff to play with it because that's pretty much what I do all day is like study trends and for like work.
Yeah.
So I really don't think if the content's good and the audience that it originally goes out to thinks that it's good, it's going to pop off. And if it doesn't and it goes out to the wrong people, like it's not. So I think like people just overthink the heck out of that sometimes of just, what, like, should I like post this? It's like just post stuff and you'll like, just based on what we've seen, it's all volume. Like if we would have stopped after the first 2 posts, we would have been like, okay, like this doesn't work. And then like our 3rd post went crazy. Yeah. Or if we would have stopped after, we had like 6 or 7 posts that didn't really do anything. And then the next one was like, okay.
I think a lot of the ones technically initially our plan was like, I'll run the Instagram and Darren will run the TikTok. But we all can kind of just do all of it. But it seems like when you post it, they seem to be going viral. I don't know what you're doing different.
No, I mean, well, Darren's posted a lot of the good ones. I think for right now is
it's
we
random. It's like,
well, I think right now our plan, because we're like kind of in that limbo phase. Like once we get like product and orders and stuff like that, like obviously responsibilities will change. Yeah. But I think just because we're so early into it, and like I think it's really important to kind of test and see like what people like to do. Like I love social media, so like I don't really I can do that all day. Like I can post all day. Yeah. And just figuring out like what we enjoy doing and like what people are like good at. So let's talk about like goals for the brand. And we have a couple of things written down. So yeah, I guess what are some of your just like initial kind of goals? Or?
Yeah. So I the other night I was with Kale and Alex, and I haven't like I'll post like little things in like our group chat and stuff like about it. I was like, you guys want gym clothes? Like that kind of thing. But I wouldn't like, hey, I'm starting my own company. Yeah. But like now that like they've seen like consistent posts, they're like, so what's your plan with this this company thing you're doing? Yeah. Like what is your like main goal to get out of it? And I didn't really go into like details or anything about like specifics, but what I have here is, so I want to try and reach 500K followers by, this is all within the year, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Within, let's like say it's next 2023. Yeah.
So,
or 2024.
Yeah. So by January 1st of 2024, 500K followers. I didn't really specify like TikTok versus Instagram or anything, but
net. We'll say net.
Yeah. Okay,
all platforms.
That's fine. That's fine. And then company revenue, and I was asking you a little bit about this earlier. I just went ahead and set it at 1 million. So a total of 1 million made on the products that we sold. And
yeah. So a thing we put on here was like, before we started recording, Jaron asked like, do you think that's realistic? And I think like the word realistic, or like, do you think this is realistic, or can we like actually do this? I think it's all, not turning this to like, it's all mindset. Like, if you just think you can do it and you manifest, then like, no, that's not what I mean. But what I mean is like more around like whatever it is being realistic, whether it's 1 million or 500,000 or 100,000. I think it's all going to be based on like your previous experiences. So for me, like I can say pretty confidently that it's something that is realistic, but more like the thing that we have to think about is what are the actions that need to be taken? Yeah, taken. Yeah. What is the actions that need to be taken in order to achieve that, right? And I think that's where a lot of people kind of mess up is whatever it is, whether it's going to the gym, like I want to lose 30 pounds or 50 pounds or 100 pounds, or I want to make X amount of money, or I want to start a YouTube channel or whatever. It's like they put all the emphasis around like, I want to make that money. And that's it. They're like, I want to make $1 million. I want to make $1 million. I want to make $1 million. But if the mindset isn't around, okay, what are the daily actions that need to be taken in order to get that point, right? If we use the gym example, it's like, okay, I want to lose 50 pounds. If you wake up every day and you're like, I want to lose 50 pounds, but you're still doing the same thing, you're not really going to get anywhere. But if you wake up every day and you're like, okay, I can, as Andy Frisella says, if you win the day and you go, do you know Andy Frisella?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, maybe it's Darren. The MF CEO, the guy that made 75 hard.
I didn't.
Yeah, okay. So you should listen to that podcast.
No, I didn't.
Or no, it's not MFCEO anymore. It's what is it called? I have to figure out what the new name is. But yeah. So like, if you win the day and you take action, like every day, you go to the gym, whatever. It's like you're gonna inevitably get closer to that point. You might not hit like 100%, but it's gonna obviously get you a lot closer to that point. Yeah. What else? What other goals did you have in mind?
Those only
main ones.
Yeah, those are the ones I had actually down, but okay. Nothing off the top of my head. But I feel like there's a lot of like little goals I want to hit, but like nothing that I was able to like put down.
Yeah, sweet. So mine, and I kind of took again back to the thing that I said earlier, just like always starting things. Is I think I take that shotgun approach of saying like I want to do like make this amount of money or whatever, but I think. For us, what I would want for us in 2023 throughout this year is a couple things. Number one is to validate like the audience. So figure out like who exactly we're going after, who is like the target audience specifically, and like really just like lay into that, because I think that's going to be like the best way that we can grow. And then also just building out systems to accommodate growth, right? So whether it's, hiring someone to do the social media posting or, video editing or whatever it is. Yeah. And then also validating the product. So figure out are we going to do shirts? Are we going to do shirts and shorts? Are we going to do shorts and, shirts in multiple colors? Like, what does like all that look like?
Yeah.
And I think as we do that stuff in conjunction with, I put 100K on Instagram, 300K on TikTok. I think it's easier to grow on TikTok after a certain point. I don't know. I could be wrong. I've just seen a lot more people blow up on TikTok than Instagram.
Seems like Instagram Reels is what seems like the most popular thing right now, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all short form, and then I still have to make the YouTube channel that we're gonna post this on, and like all the other short stuff too.
Yeah.
So for the short form, but yeah, and I think in doing all of that, one of two things are gonna happen. Number one is because of doing those things, we like get a good amount of sales, or we just set ourselves really well for like the next year. So that we're looking good. So as I'm talking about this, like you might know, like it might sound like it's kind of like a long-term thing, right? It's like, I'm not thinking of like, how can we like make X amount of money in X amount of time? I just want to like build something that has like a really strong foundation.
Yeah.
But again, not saying that like your answer was wrong, or like anyone thinking about the money side is wrong, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've all kind of made it aware that it's going to be like, this is kind of a longer term thing. Like we didn't go into this thinking, hey, we're going to like, in 6 months, we're going to like blow up and like, we're going to be like popular in Gymshark and like that kind of thing. So, I think we all kind of understand we're in it for the long haul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, also an important kind of distinction that I kind of just thought of, like I've known it, but I kind of just thought of now is like, we're all pretty, I mean, you guys more than me, I'm getting better at it. Is like just overall more active, like going to the gym, and especially Darren. Should have brought him. He's like this big. But it kind of just gives me that like extra motivation to do it. Right. It's like sometimes I felt like, okay, we need to get like more content. So that's like what's pushed me into like working out.
Yeah. That's like it's kind of where we're at right now. Cause like we've made so many videos and stuff, and, like we use them. When we post 3 times a day, like we're using all our content. So like, I gotta work out again. Cause like,
yeah, and it's a good motivator. And it's like the other thing too, is when we have, at this point, basically business partners, it's like you are like pushing each other, and you know that, okay, if I don't go to the gym or whatever, you're not really like setting each other up for success. So it's like, that's kind of also the driving factor of like, okay, I gotta like go to the gym. Yeah. As opposed to like, inherently, if you're, let's say, losing, like for me, right, if I was just be like, all right, I want to lose some weight, that's one thing. But it's like, if I want to lose some weight so that we can build up the clothing brand, it's like you have like the stronger reason why you're doing it. I think that's going to help a ton. But dude, I think that's everything on our list. Any last words for right now?
No, I don't think I really touched on this earlier though, but I feel like we post mainly like gym stuff. Yeah. But I do want to put out there that like, I think we're just kind of going for overall like wellness, not necessarily just the gym, but we only have like gym videos right now. Gotcha. But obviously like I'm avid runner and stuff. So when you get just like, athletic clothing in general, not specifically like, we're not only trying to appeal like the gym bro niche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's I think as we continue to build, like start posting and get more content, and we were supposed to do some running stuff today, but Darren got called into work, so good times. Oh, that actually brings up the last thing. Do you ever see this, again, not like short term or like long term? Do you ever see this being like a full time? Like, would you want it to be like a full time thing of just like building that out? Because we've talked about like, for me, like I think it'd be really cool to like, this is like long term, is like build up the clothing brand, but like build it like as like an overall brand, like up level. And then we can open like a gym. And maybe if it's just like something like small scale to where it's more of like, it's a gym, but it's also like a place to hold inventory. And it's like a place that we can do the podcast and kind of like, and do photo shoots and stuff like that. And then like part of it being a gym, and then maybe just like letting like certain people in or something like that. I think that would be
cool. That's definitely, that's also a goal I've had probably since I started working out. I was like, open my own gym. So that would definitely be cool. That's definitely something I want to do. And as far as like this becoming a full-time job, I would love that. Not to say that I would still probably practice as a nurse, because I do love my job, very fulfilling job, help someone every day, that kind of thing. So I would still probably practice, but I wouldn't mind like if if this is what I end up doing, especially if we like further, like you said, like opening up a gym and like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, really the possibilities are endless. So that being said, follow, if you made it here to the end, follow us over on Instagram and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. We'll leave everything down in the description, and we'll put it up on screen as well. Up Level Athletics on TikTok and Instagram. And we'll just, stay tuned for the journey. We're going to be talking about everything that is as we're going through the whole process. We'll probably do this, I don't know, once a week, maybe.
Try
once a week, maybe once a week, twice a month, something along those lines. Maybe we'll like batch a couple out in a day. And like,
depends if you guys like it.
Yeah, exactly. if you like and we get to a certain amount of subscribers, we'll continue. All right, guys. Aaron and Jaron from Up Level Athletics. We'll see you guys in the next one. Talk soon. Peace.